Today we are bringing you the pros and cons of living in Bethany Beach. Let's go. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another edition of Living in Coastal Delaware. I'm Matt Lunden, your host and favorite Delaware realtor, and today we're going to be bringing you my top 4 pros and cons of living in Bethany. If you're new to the channel, we put out content each and every week discussing Coastal Delaware and Coastal Delaware real estate. If that's content that you'd like to see some more of, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button down below. That really helps us out here on the channel. So most people are only going to tell you the positives of living somewhere. So I want to give you an honest take on Bethany Beach, what my thoughts are, and what it's like. If you have some differing opinions in your list of pros and cons, do me a favor, let me know down in the comments below. It'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are as well. Now let's dive in. Starting off with my list of pros for Bethany Beach. Number 1 for me is, the level of activity going on and how many active people you see out and about during the summer months. Anytime you drive down Route 1 in the summer through Bethany Beach there, you can pretty much always see people out biking, running, walking, riding scooters, all that kind of stuff down Route 1. And it's just great to see that many people taking advantage of the outdoors and getting outside, getting a little sweat on before they hit the beach for the rest of the day. But the stretch of Route 1 there through Bethany probably has some of the widest shoulders of that entire highway. So it makes it much safer for biking, walking, running, all those items we mentioned before. So it's cool to see people take advantage of that. Number 2 on the list, again, I'd be remiss if I haven't mentioned this. I think I've mentioned this in every pro and con video I've made, the one about Lewes, Rehoboth, to the state of Delaware, but low taxes. Here in the state of Delaware, our property taxes are very low throughout the entire state. Sussex County, where we reside, is the lowest property taxes within the state. But coupled with that, with no sales tax, Delaware is a pretty tax-friendly state, especially when you compare it to the states around us. Aside from our real estate transfer tax, which is 4% of the gross sales price, typically split between buyer and seller. Our low taxes are the main driving force in why so many people have decided to relocate and now call Delaware home. On to number 3, and a somewhat controversial topic here. If you go into any of our local Facebook groups here, it doesn't matter which town it's in or if it's the county as a whole, but one of the most popular age-old questions that you see all the time is, what is the best pizza in the area? You've got a lot of folks from New York and New Jersey that have relocated here, and they struggle to find a pizza place to replace the one that they frequented, back in their previous hometown. And while I can tell you is you might not find exactly the stuff that you found in New York and New Jersey, but the best place for pizza resides in downtown Bethany, and the competition isn't even close. Pomodoro's down in Bethany is the most authentic New York pie that you will find at the beach, if that's the style you're looking for. There are some other spots that definitely make good pizza, but the most authentic New York pie is definitely Pomodoro's. Again, it says right down there in downtown Bethany. This is not a paid advertisement. They just make really good pizza. But it's, again, if you're looking for that New York pie, that's the spot to go. Pomodoro's, downtown Bethany, book it. My last pro of Bethany Beach is it's the start of the quiet resorts. So it's a lot more subdued than the surrounding towns, especially when you compare it to the immediate neighbors, Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach, Ocean City, Maryland. It's a much more relaxed and subdued feeling. Just based on size alone, it's not a very large town. So there's just not as many people there, and there's just a lot less crowds and parties and all that kind of stuff going on. So, if you want to be close to those crowds and that kind of stuff, but you don't want to be right in the action, Bethany could be an excellent spot for you. Like I said, it's just a little bit smaller in size, so you don't get as much of that craziness as you do in some of the surrounding areas. Now onto the cons. Number 1, the beaches get crowded. While the town itself is smaller than the surrounding beach towns in the area, it doesn't stop many people from going to the beach in Bethany. A lot of communities down and around Bethany, Ocean View, and those areas offer shuttle services into the beach to combat just the lack of parking, because again, it is a smaller town. but the beaches that offer public access tend to get crowded in the summer months. That can kind of be expected in all of the Delaware beach towns, unless your town has or your community has a private beach, but it's just one of the drawbacks of being down in Bethany and using the beach there in Bethany. Number two, there's a lack of restaurant options. The ones that are there are great, don't get me wrong. They have a lot of fantastic food down in Bethany. But one of the bigger downsides that we hear from a lot of clients that have purchased homes down there is that there's just a lack of restaurant options, and they, if they are frequent people that frequently dine out, they run out of options pretty quick. So we see a lot of people coming up to Rehoboth, Dewey, or going down to Ocean City to find some new restaurants to try because they don't have enough options down there in Bethany. It's just one of the downsides we hear. There's not a ton of restaurant options. Again, I'm going to restate this so nobody kills me. The restaurants that are there are fantastic. Do not get me wrong. But during the summer months, you can expect them to be very busy just because there are a limited number of options. So it's just, one of those things that you got to get through. And if you don't mind waiting a little bit, then, you're fine. But we do have quite a few people who tend to make that 20-minute drive north to Dewey and Rehoboth for a little bit larger variety in food. That brings me to my next con, and that's going to be the very limited downtown parking. So downtown Bethany has very limited public parking options for both shopping and the beach use. Again, like I stated earlier, that's why many of the communities in the surrounding towns have shuttles that are offered from their communities down to the beach, just to try and help alleviate some of that stress on the parking, because there is just not a ton of parking spots down there. So if you're hoping to bring your own car, or maybe you need your car for a certain reason, you're going to need to get there early to find a spot, or you're going to be driving circles around the town and waiting for somebody to leave. There's just not a ton of options in that area, which can make it tough, especially if you got like little kids or somebody with a handicap that needs their car to get down to the beach, and the community maybe your community doesn't offer a shuttle. It just makes it very tough. My last and final con for Bethany Beach is going to be real estate prices. It sounds kind of funny that as a real estate agent, I'm telling you that the real estate prices are a problem, but it is mainly a luxury market. Average prices in Bethany tend to be higher than those in most of Delaware. The average sales price last month, according to Redfin, was $1.4 million. About an 81% increase over last year. So it's pretty high. And while it may be lower than some of the other beach towns in the country, some of those in Florida and California are definitely higher than that, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking for a reduction in your living expenses and you're looking for a cheaper housing situation, that might be a larger number than you planned on spending. So Bethany Beach may not be an option for you. For those of you that are looking to relocate or purchase from, some of our surrounding markets, maybe the DC market or the New York City market, those prices probably aren't really all that bad for you. In comparison to what you're used to, they're probably pretty in line or even a little bit lower. But when we look in comparison to the rest of Delaware, Bethany Beach is definitely one of the more expensive places to purchase, without a doubt. That's a wrap on our list of pros and cons for living in Bethany Beach. If you live in Bethany, or if you're a frequent vacationer in Bethany, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have some different items that should be on the list, so let me know down in the comments if you have a different set of pros and cons. For those of you that are looking to make a purchase in Bethany, or maybe you're looking to sell in Bethany and get out, I'd love the opportunity to work with you, or at least discuss your situation to see if we would be a good fit. So I have all my information here on the screen, as well as a link to a form down in the description that'll put you directly in touch with someone from my team so that we can figure out the best plan of action for you. If you've made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate you doing me a favor. If you could hit the subscribe button down below, smash that notification bell next to it so you can stay in the loop each week when we go live discussing all things Coastal Delaware. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.